There is tooth decay, which is known as dental caries, and there is gum disease, which is known as periodontal disease.
Polio is an infectious viral disease. Sure. Now, a virus is a microorganism, and this microorganism can be gotten through the mouth.
Life as Nollywood Entertainment Limited, in partnership with N.T.A., moves Zafa Global Awards to Nigeria for the first time.
I think it's a great idea. I totally endorse the move. It's magnificent. It's good for the industry. It's good for Nigeria.
A glamorous event, a celebration of African movies, culture, fashion and creativity. It's a 3-day gathering of leading international stars, filmmakers and movie professionals.
Zafa, you're welcome to Nigeria. It's a welcoming development. And N.T.A., the largest network in Africa, I want to say thank you for bringing Zafa into this country.
Featuring movie screenings, exhibitions, master classes, business seminars, live entertainment and awards. Highlights, special recognition awards by British Film Institute. Date 29th to 31st of October 2015. Venue, Eco Hotel and Suites, Victoria Island, Lagos. For sponsorship and advert, please contact Chinidu on 080-231-33380 or Dembo on 080-544-089.
Good evening, viewers and friends out there. My name is Dr. Oganekere Ogidigbe, and you're welcome to another interesting episode of Lifeline on N.T.A.2. Yesterday was World Sight Day at 2015, and this year all emphasis was about sight. The emphasis was about eye care for all. Indeed, how do you take care of that very important God-created organ called the eye? With me in the studio is an ophthalmologist and a very active member of the Ophthalmological Society of Nigeria, the Lagos State branch. In fact, she is the Blindness Prevention Program Director of Lagos State. Welcome, Dr. Mrs. Funmi Shokunbi, to the program. So yesterday was World Sight Day. Actually, we've never had an ophthalmologist come to this program, and we have been looking for the opportunity, so I'm very pleased to have you on this program. Now, World Sight Day. What is the World Sight Day? What was it all about yesterday?
Thank you very much. The World Sight Day is it's an international day that is celebrated all over the world to create awareness about issues concerning blindness, visual impairments, and how to prevent them. Okay. So what we do basically is to make sure that people are aware that there's something called blindness. We have visual impairment, we have eye disorders, and they should take care of their eyes, and possibly we tell them how they can take care of their eyes and how they can prevent blindness, because 80% of this avoidable blindness that we're talking about is actually curable,
okay,
treatable or preventable.
So blindness was the emphasis,
yes,
of the whole show yesterday.
Show. Yes.
Now, World Sight Day is usually celebrated on the second Thursday of every October, isn't it? And like we likely mentioned, it's about eye care, yes, for all. Now, talking about eye care, what are the conditions that people should know about? We know that we all want to retain our sight, but it is very important for the viewers to try and understand what are some of the conditions that can lead to this blindness that we are all trying to avoid.
Thank you very much. I think the first thing that we all should know, that the eye is a very sensitive organ, is very precious. It has no duplicate, and the most complex and important out of the 5 organs that we have in the body. And so it is important that we take good care of them, most especially because you cannot replace it with any other thing. So what are the common disorders? We have cataract, which is the leading cause of blindness globally and here in Nigeria. And we have glaucoma, which is even though it's the second leading cause, it is the first cause of irreversible blindness. Glaucoma is the leading cause of irreversible blindness. And then another common eye disorder is refractive error. Okay. That's the disorder that makes people to wear glasses. And then we have age-related macular degeneration. We have diabetic retinopathy, hypertensive retinopathy.
Oh, well, I'm sure that the viewers will
wonder what am I talking
all of
about.
This cataract, glaucoma, diabetic retinopathy, and hypertensive retinopathy. Well, let's start with cataract.
All right.
Let's start with cataract. What is it? What is this condition we call cataract?
All right. Cataract is the clouding of the lens of the eye.
Okay.
Now, if you look at our eyes, we have, just briefly, we have the clear transparent portion. Behind that, we have a black hole called the pupil. That's the aperture of the eye. Surrounding the pupil, we have muscles that contract and relaxes, to accommodate light coming in. Behind that iris, we have the lens. Usually the lens is clear, and that's why you cannot see anything white. Looking at your face now, it's clear. But when you have cataract, there's clouding of the lens, and usually it's an aging thing. Most of the time it's an aging thing, and that's what we refer to as the senile cataract.
Senile because it has
to do with old age. The lens is very flexible. The natural one is very flexible, and it can, try to contract and relax. But as you are aging, it becomes rigid. It becomes rigid, and there's deposit of cells, so it becomes cloudy. And the work that the lens is supposed to do cannot be done again. And that is what brings the blurring of vision. Anybody that has cataract, we have that white patch inside and will not be able to see
So
clearly.
There's a particular white patch that you can even see.
The lens, the clear lens becomes cloudy, becomes opaque, and it gives a white color.
How can people identify that their relatives have cataract?
Cataract. If you see anything white inside the eye, it is likely to be cataract. I know that people tend to mix cataract with corneal opacity. But the corneal opacity is on the front, the anterior portion of the on the cornea. That's the clear transparent. But the lens is at the back of the iris, at the back of the pupil. So, but anytime you see anything white, they should know that even anything abnormal about the eye, you should go and see your eye doctor.
You should have to.
Yes, anything that you know how the normal eye is. If there's anything abnormal about the eye, I think it is better to see an eye doctor, which is one of our message during this World Sight Day.
Okay, before we go back to some of the conditions, statistics I have here show that approximately 285 million people worldwide live with low vision and blindness. Approximately 285 people. Yes. How common do you people see these cases here in Nigeria?
It's very common. Actually, in Nigeria, we have about 18 million people that has vision impairment. And out of these 18 million people, about 6 million are actually blind. So it's a public health problem. It's something that we see every day.
Out of 18 million?
Out of 18 million.
Whooping 6 million.
6 million, only in Nigeria. And we don't want this. That was why Vision 2020 came into place. We want good vision for all by the year 2020. But you see, the fortunate thing is that 80% of this figure can actually be avoided. In other words, it can either be treated or be prevented. prevented.
So 80% of the
Yes.
the incidence or the
The obvious,
prevalence
yes.
of people who have eye issues,
Yes.
who some of them eventually turn blind,
Yeah.
are preventable.
They are preventable.
Are preventable causes.
Yes.
But still talking about the World Sight Day.
Okay.
How much is information about the eye out there? Because I know that clients come to your clinic and then you interact with them. From that interaction, what do people even know?
Well, definitely, people are getting more and more knowledgeable about the eye. Yes, about taking care of their eye. They have taken it as their own duty, and people now are also getting to know where to go to when they have eye disorders.
Okay.
And so I would say we are not yet there, but we are improving on a daily basis.
Okay. Okay. So the clients you talk to in the clinic are quite knowledgeable about.
We have different categories.
Okay.
Those that are knowledgeable, those that don't even know anything about the eye. But each time we have a clinic, especially in the government clinic, that's this health talk that we give. And most clinics also do that.
Okay.
Just for them to know about their eyes and how to take care of their eyes and how to prevent blindness.
Because it's all about eye care for all.
For all.
As the
Yes,
theme says
yes.
this year.
Yes.
And like I spoke with one of my consultants on the independent episode of this show, and we rightly stated that the societies, the health societies, the doctors have a large role to play when it comes to improving the health situation of Nigeria. Now you are here in the capacity of a member of the Ophthalmologic Society of Nigeria. What has the society been up to?
Thank you. For example, yesterday, which was the World Sight Day, all members of the Ophthalmological Society of Nigeria were encouraged, to conduct free eye screening for the people of Lagos State.
Okay.
So yesterday, you are likely to go to clinics and they are likely to screen you free. We had, I know of an ophthalmologist also that organized a school town hall meeting.
Okay.
That students were together and they talked to them about caring for their eyes. And I also know that in the government, for example, in Alausa yesterday too, we distributed information, education, communication materials to people
Just
about the eye. And anybody that comes into that yesterday, they were seen.
Well, if you didn't get the free information materials distributed about the eye, there is still hope.
Yes.
We have much more to talk about eye care. You need to know how cheap is seeing a doctor about your eyes. Is it affordable? Stay with us. When we come back from a short break, we'll have much more for you on this episode of the program.
I visit my optician periodically, you understand? When I say periodically, it depends on how the reflexes of my glass affect me, you understand? At times, this glass of a thing, it got missing. At times it gets missing, at times it breaks and all these things. So I visit my optician or optometric based on what is happening to my glass sight. And it depends on the dichotomy of your problem, you understand? Can be like my own is about 1.25 bifocal, which is for enlightenment, you understand? And it's extremely photochronics, you understand? I don't pray, but often I go to church and I believe one day God will grant me divine healing pertaining to the eyes.
I've not really have any eye problem.
I've never been to the hospital to check my eye because I've never had any eye problem, and I've not checked my eye for once because I've not had any eye problem right from my childhood.
I think it has to do with age. My doctor said my inability to read without glass has to do with age. That's from the age of 40 thereabout, and one could develop such. So what I've been on drugs. He gave me some drugs, one of which is vision, the one right vision. So I should be taking it, because without the eye you cannot do that. The eye is just like is He's one that coordinates the entire body. Without the eyes, he can't do anything. So I don't joke with my eyes.
You're welcome back to the studio. You're still tuned into N.T.A.2, and this is Lifeline. Well, we are talking about vision today, all about the eyes. And yesterday was the World Sight Day. I was speaking with Dr. Shokunbi, and she had rightly told us some of the activities that the Ophthalmologic Society of Nigeria was up to yesterday in terms of distribution of free information materials. People were also seeing for free yesterday. Now, you listen to what some members of the public had to say about eye care. One of them said she had never visited the doctor to check her eyes before. Now, do we need to wait till an eye problem sets in before we go to visit the ophthalmologist, Dr. Shokunbi?
No, we don't need to wait. In fact, one of the message is anybody that is 40 years and above should check their eyes at least once in a year.
Okay.
The reason being that there are some other eye conditions that will not give any symptoms. And unless your eye care provider check your eyes, examine, you might not know until appreciable amount of vision have been lost.
Okay.
And we don't want this. So whether you have an eye complaint or not, if you are 40 years, you should please make sure that you see your ophthalmologist once in a year. For example, glaucoma is an eye condition that you might not have any symptoms until about, very appreciable amounts of vision have been lost. And we said glaucoma is causes irreversible blindness,
okay,
which means that vision loss from glaucoma cannot be reversed. So, if you see your doctor and you have cultivated the habit of seeing your doctor at least once in a year, even if you have it, your doctor will detect on time, and early detection, prompt intervention, good follow-up actually reduces blindness from glaucoma.
Oh, I see. Glaucoma meaning increased pressure in the eye, isn't it?
Yes, is a major risk factor.
Okay.
Because we have another type of glaucoma that the intraocular pressures are actually normal. And we call that normal tension glaucoma. But however, what that also means is that the pressure of that eye is not good enough for that person, even though it's within the normal range, but it's still not good enough for that person. So the high intraocular pressure is a very important and a major risk factor for glaucoma. We actually have other risk factors. A family history. In fact, the fact that we are Africans, we are more predisposed, about 6 times more at risk of having glaucoma than another person. Injury could actually cause glaucoma too. That's why we want to encourage as much everybody to ensure they keep their eyes from injury and trauma.
Well, Dr. Shokunbi, I was going to come to that.
Okay.
I know that cataracts and glaucoma are some of the most common conditions, eye conditions that people see in the clinics worldwide. Nigeria is no different. Yes. But coming back to the streets, and I want to try and quickly take this age-wise. We know that trauma, like I know of a situation where someone had gunshot trauma, and then the ophthalmologist had diagnosed that the conjunctiva, stripped off the retina, a retinal detachment, and he has not been able to see. I don't know if he has finally regained his vision. He has tried to go to India and all of that. So trauma, we know that a lot of the youngsters watching this program today have had somebody who, take for example what is going on in the north. Maybe you are a victim of, the person is a victim of Boko Haram bombing, and then they are not able to see. Is there hope for trauma victims, trauma to the eye? Is there hope for people to regain their sight?
Yes. there is still hope if the visual acuity is still not light perception. What I mean is, if your visual acuity is no light perception, then there won't be hope.
That's the person is totally blind.
When the person is totally blind. However, there are many people that have trauma and they were able to regain their sight back.
Okay.
If you have trauma, you can have corneal ulcer, and if you get to the hospital on time, it is very treatable.
Okay.
If you have a corneal opacity, now we have what we call corneal transplant. If the eye is healthy, and there's no other problem apart from that, one can do a corneal graft and the person will be able to see again. If you have retinal detachment, if it's very early, I have an in-law that had retinal detachment. Immediately he noticed the poor vision, he came to me, and immediately we started investigations and we did the surgery, and he was able to see very well.
Oh, amazing.
So, yeah, so it depends on when they presented.
Okay,
So
let's talk about some chronic conditions globally. Now, sometimes people with diabetes or hypertension are even diagnosed after they come down with eye issues, meaning that they go to the ophthalmologist first. They do not even know that they're hypertensive or diabetic. So they go to the ophthalmologist first with an eye problem, and then they are referred back to say, oh, perhaps you should go and check your blood sugar, or you should go and check your blood pressure. How often do you see these cases, and in what age group in terms of diabetic and hypertensive retinopathies?
Well, it is also relatively common, especially above 50 years. You know, 50 years and above, we tend to see such cases. But whoever has diabetes can have diabetic retinopathy, depending on the duration of the diabetes. So the longer you have diabetes, the more likely that you are going to have diabetic retinopathy. That means that the age might not really matter in that, but the time that the diabetes was diagnosed. Diabetes and hypertension, there's no way you will enter an eye clinic, we will not screen you for diabetes and hypertension, because we know that as it affects the whole body, it affects the eye too, you know. But the major thing is control your blood pressure, control your blood sugar. What happens in diabetic retinopathy is that, you know, when the blood sugar level is high, it blocks the small blood vessels on the retina. And when it does that, blood flow to the retina is reduced or cut off. When this happens, you know that is not good for the eye.
Of course.
And then new vessels begin to develop. These new vessels are not too good.
New vascularization.
Yes, they are not too good, and sometimes they leak out blood too. And you know, with that, blurring of vision could occur. People that even have this retinopathy too can bleed into the retina and have retinal detachment. And so, but when it is well controlled, and when your blood sugar your blood pressure too, when they are well controlled, they don't usually have much problem. So it means that if you have diabetes, just ensure you are seeing your physician so that your blood sugar and your blood pressure will be controlled.
Well, if you have diabetes or hypertension, ensure that you are seeing your physician to control your blood sugar and your blood pressure. But you must also ensure that you find time to go and see the ophthalmologist every I wouldn't say once in a while.
Once in a year for everybody above 40. But if you have any eye condition, your ophthalmologist will tell you when to come for follow-up. It might be even 1 week, on appointment 2 weeks, depending on your condition, the improvement seen, and also.
Well, Dr. Shokunbi, it would not be fair to have an eye expert and we don't talk about the very common conjunctivitis, what everybody watching today knows as Apollo. Like Dr. Kewe, really? You're talking about, you're talking to an eye expert and you don't talk about Apollo. So what about Apollo? It seems like a common code where they say people must catch Apollo every year. Is that true?
Well, let me start by saying Apollo is a type of conjunctivitis.
Yes, of course.
Now we have different types of conjunctivitis. We have bacterial conjunctivitis.
Okay.
We have viral conjunctivitis, which is the Apollo that we are talking about.
Oh, it's viral.
It's viral.
Not bacterial.
It's not bacteria. In viral, all conjunctivitis have red eyes. They all present with red eyes. But in viral, they present with tearing, watering of the eyes. In bacteria, they have a mucoid discharge. They have discharge, not the watery type. In viral, they can have swelling, chemosis of the eye too. Now, the two are very contagious. If the fluid gets in contact with another person's eye, you will have it. And that is why when anybody has conjunctivitis, it's better not to, don't share handkerchief, don't share towels, don't share any personal things. Even if you are working, you can stay at home for 24 hours so that you don't spread it. It's very, very contagious. Children too, in school, if they have it, parents should ensure that they don't go to school so that they don't spread it and they can contain it. But in another 1 week, usually it will subside. Even the viral, with or without any medication, it does subside.
Oh, really?
However, in our environment, the secondary bacterial infection is so there's superimposed secondary bacterial infection, and that is why most of the time we give antibiotics, eye drop.
For the bacterial,
yes,
or for the viral secondary?
Yes, if we notice that there is need to give, we give.
Okay, Dr. Shokunbi, before we round this all up, I would like you to, whilst you are rounding off, a message for the people from the Ophthalmologic Society of Nigeria. What do you want Nigerians to know? Whilst you are even saying that, also tell us how cheap is visual care. Just to round off, because the time is fast spent.
Oh, okay, all right. I believe it's still relatively cheap.
Okay.
Because the eye is a very, very precious organ. We have said it's the window of the body. Yeah. Without the eyes, you cannot appreciate the beauty of the world. So I think no amount of money spent is too much. However, I believe it's still affordable.
Okay.
We cannot compare the fee here to the developed country. In fact, the difference is just too much.
Oh well.
The difference is too much. But for people that cannot afford the private, it's not as if it's much, but you know, you want quality eye care.
Yes.
Yes. But even if they cannot afford it, we have the government hospitals that are there that are free, relatively free.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So time is fast spent. I'm sure we would try and have you on another episode of the program. This time it was all about the World Sight Day. On another time, we will pick a particular condition and talk about it. I hope viewers and friends out there, you have been able to pick one thing or two. But if you haven't picked anything, I know that you just heard Dr. Shokunbi. You heard from the horse's mouth. You can go to the government hospitals and then you can get relatively free eye care. Until the same time next week, ensure to have a blessed.
Niger, let's do it again! Niger, let's go all out! We've won it 4 times, and we're set to bring it home again. 4 times we've brought home the trophy. 4 times we've held the world spellbound. Join the world with Star Times on October 17th to November 8th to experience the passion and excitement on and off the pitch at the Under-17 World Cup in Chile. Nigeria will compete against Croatia, USA, and host country Chile. Watch the Under-17 World Cup exclusively on Star Times and enjoy more live football action. For details, visit our website www.startimes.com.ng. Star Times. Enjoy digital life.
In today's corporate world and competitive marketplace, public speaking has become an art which nobody can shy away from. Unfortunately, many people have missed out on fantastic opportunities simply because they were unable to articulate themselves. The good news is the Royal Center for Public Speaking conducts one-on-one coaching programs as well as group courses. They have coached and trained individuals, personnel, and managers affiliated with great companies and global organizations. They've received over 900 testimonials, and the good part is that they offer a lifetime guarantee. Our contact details are on the screen. Give us a call today because your audience is waiting.